Hello, this is Lauren and welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to be looking at the horoscope of Yemen, what is going on astrologically speaking, what could be coming up, which I think is extraordinarily exact in terms of the timing of the transits going on there, and how this is going to play into this whole U.S.-Israel, Iran war that Yemen did get involved in March a few months ago, or about a month ago. So we're going to be doing that. Now, it's very important that in my previous video that I uploaded just under 2 weeks ago with regard to the possibility of the use of nuclear weapons, I highlighted, and I please highly recommend you watch that video because I'm not going to go over all the detail in it. I'll put the description and link. I'll put the link in the description below. At any rate, I brought to your attention that the last time that the U.S., the only country that ever used nuclear weapons, was in 1945. And we see the conjunction, the exact, let's say, conjunction within about 5 degrees of Uranus in the sign of Gemini and Mars conjuncting Uranus in the sign of Gemini. And I highlighted a very important, dangerous window of time for any kind of major escalation in that last week of June into about the first week of July 2026. Now, here's what I want to bring to your attention, because I highly believe Yemen is going to be involved here somehow. Now, when we look at the chart of Yemen, the natal chart of Yemen, and I'm just switching over to my notes here, they are currently under the transit of transiting Pluto conjunct Saturn. That's an extremely challenging transit, which can represent hard work, potential loss, potential destruction. I'm going to go through the last time this happened in Yemen's history, because when we piece this together, it's very interesting with what's going on now involving Lebanon and Iran and the U.S. and Israel. However, this extended transit, which can be extremely challenging, probably, I would say, the most challenging aspect in astrology for, like I said before, really fighting back hard work, potential loss, frustrations, delays, etc., etc. The first hit of it was in March, exact on March 15th, 2026. The next hit of it, the retrograde hit, will be on June 30th, 2026. Exactly this window that I have given for what's going to happen when Uranus and Mars are conjunct in Gemini. So that's a bit alarming right there. Now, that transit of Pluto conjunct Saturn is going to run all the way through 2027 in Yemen's horoscope. It'll hit again in January, retrograde in September, final hit in November 2027. So this is like an extended 18-month period. Now, the other thing within that window there is we see in their chart that this transit of Uranus conjunct Mars in the sign of Gemini will square their natal Uranus on July 2nd. So here we have two transits. Transiting Pluto conjunct Saturn hits exact on June 30th, and then we have the Uranus conjunct Mars hitting off natal Uranus on July 2nd. So that's pretty tight within this window of time that I'm talking about. A couple things here is that Uranus in the natal 9th house in mundane astrology, when we look at a country's chart, it can represent shipping, sea traffic, high seas, foreign lands, foreign imports and exports. It can also rule over who controls the media and, how this let's say it reflects the attitude of the media toward the public. So point being here with the shipping and the import and export is that we don't know where Trump and Israel are going to go at this point because they've kind of blocked the Strait of Hormuz. I'm not going to go into all the details of the games that they're playing and what they're doing, but if Yemen decides that they're also going to block the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden so that, it really puts a halt on shipping here globally, well, then there could be some kind of retaliation that could come at them potentially. I think that they're involved with this Uranus-Mars conjunction because of the timing in their horoscope. So I don't know all the details of how this is going to play out, but I'm bringing this to your attention. And that Uranus conjunct Mars, notice that it's transiting Yemen's 6th house, and the 6th house rules over military and issues of national defense. So it's very interesting what could play out here. Now, what I want to bring to your attention is when we look at the last time, in order to sort of piece this together, when we look at the last time, when was transiting Pluto? It would have been semi-square Saturn. That would have been the last time it was hitting off Saturn, and that was in 2003 and 2004. Again, for this extended, let's say, 18-month transit or 5 hits of the transit. Now, it's very interesting because in 2003, the Houthis sort of adopted their official slogan against the United States and Israel. And then when we get into January, let's say the first 9 months of 2004, this was the first round of what's called the SADA, S-A-D-A-A war, the first conflict rebellion against the Yemeni government by the Houthi rebels, sparked by the government's attempt to arrest the Houthi leader, whose name was Hussein al-Houthi. That's the brother of the current leader now. Now, this conflict escalated into a full-scale civil war in Yemen. In September of that year, they killed Hussein al-Houthi, September 10th, 2024, by the Yemeni military. And since then, his brother, like I said, has taken over that position. So the reason also why this all occurred is because under the leadership, this is where it gets interesting, of Hussein al-Houthi, the Houthis emerged as the opposition movement to the Yemen president at the time, who they accused of corruption and being backed by Saudi Arabia and the United States. And there were issues going on here. I'm just looking for it in my notes. Well, it had to do with land borders that Saudi Arabia and the United States organized against Yemen. So it's very interesting because that's a similar situation going on in Lebanon, with Israel trying to take over southern Lebanon. So it's interesting that I think that what's going to go on here, I don't know if this is going to be civil unrest in Yemen that goes on again, because apparently the Houthis and the Yemeni government, the Houthis are in the north, the Yemeni government in the south, they apparently are still sort of in conflict with each other, etc. I don't know that much about their internal situation there. But I do feel that, on the first hit of Pluto conjunct Saturn, which was exact on March 15th, the Houthis on March 6th, they rallied in solidarity with Iran and Lebanon amid the conflict between the U.S., Israel, and Iran. And on March 28th, Yemen entered the U.S.-Iran war when the Houthis launched missile strikes against Israel, marking their first military operation in the conflict. So that was the first hit of transiting Pluto conjunct Saturn. It's pretty obvious that the next hit, exact on June 30th, together with that Uranus-Mars transit in Gemini on July 2nd, is going to involve this situation. Again, I can't give you more details because nobody really knows, and the erraticism, I don't know if that's a word, the erratic behavior of Trump at this point and what Israel would be willing to do, and they do have nuclear weapons, it's you know, a little alarming of what could happen here. But I do think that they're planning something. That's what I would say. This war is definitely not over. Let me just look over my notes if there's anything else I wanted to talk about here. Yeah, I don't want to get too much into Yemen's astrology, but the following year in 2027, which is a little bit concerning, is they're going to have transiting Neptune oppose their midheaven, that angular transit, together with the Pluto continuing conjunct Saturn. So there's definitely major stuff going on with Yemen here. No doubt about it. So I think I'm going to leave it at that because I just don't want to bring too much astrology into this picture, but I do want to highlight that I think that the end of June, start of July will, let's say, a high possibility. I don't want to say high probability, but a high possibility from the astrology that Yemen's chart is quite lit up in that dangerous window of time, end of June, start of July. So just giving a heads up there on that. Anyways, as this incredible situation unfolds, I will share astrology as it unfolds. I will say, like I said in my previous video, that Israel, U.S., Iran, and Lebanon, their horoscopes are all lit up in June, and as well now with Yemen. So it could be, you know, because the horoscopes are lit, have a lot of activity March, April, June, but it could be that, let's say, a window of time here. I don't want to exclude mid-June because there's a lot going on right around the 18th of June in Iran's chart, in Lebanon's chart, and yeah, in USA chart, right mid-June. So yeah, I think that there's stuff going down. Okay, I'll stop talking at this point. Thank you for watching and listening and sharing and liking, because they do suppress my videos. They don't let my videos be seen. So if you subscribe, appreciate it. Thumbs up, whatever it might be. I do appreciate that. Anyways, blessings go out to everyone, all of humanity. Let's hope that these lunatics do not do something really seriously grave. But, you know, your guess is as good as mine. Okay, take care. Thanks so much. Bye-bye now.